is given and the work done during this process. So what is the way you have to do? It is just work done is integral AdV. Okay, sorry, integral PdV. So P you have to substitute AV plus B. So you will get by integration A into V square by 2 plus B into V. So you have to substitute the limits. Okay, V1 to V2. And so we have got to both 0.38 meter cube and 0.1 meter cube. So you can substitute the limits. And if you just look at it, okay, this is the way we get W12 is integral PdV, AV plus B dV, and AV plus B, AV square by 2 plus BV, 0.38 to 0.1. And if you substitute, A is equal to 1200 and B equal to 60. So 1200 by 2 into 0.1 square minus 0.38 square plus 600 into 0.1 minus 0.38, and you will get the answer. Okay, this is the way. Any doubt? I may be just quickly going through because all of them are to be covered in this. And if there is any difficulty in understanding, please ask me, right? Oh, I have to look into it. Yes. You have to multiply by mass. Whenever there is mass, did I ask kilojoule per kg? And okay, I will check it. Okay. Okay. Then that is wrong. Actually, I want all of them in kilojoules only. I don't know. Maybe I heard I'm wrong, but I think you can check it always. Okay, I will look into it. Thank you for the. Okay, then going to problem 2. A gas is expanded according to the relation PV square equal to constant from 10 bar to 2 bar. If initial volume is 0.1 meter cube, the work done in kilojoules. Here also you have to integrate it. Integral PV square, P is equal to constant by V square. So you have to substitute that. Constant we have to find out. So P1 V1 square equal to constant. That is there you have to substitute. 10 bar you have to put in kilopascals and 2 into the 0.1 square. So you will get the constant. And then you have to integrate integral PV square, integral PdV. So P is equal to constant by V square. So 1 by V square you have to integrate, which is minus 1 by V. And then you have to substitute the limits. So we will see. So PV square equal to constant, P1 V1 square equal to P2 V2 square equal to constant. So P equal to K by V square. And so you can find out what is V2, root of P1 V1 square by P2, you will get it. And K constant P1 V1 square, you can get it. And W12 integral PdV, so integral K into dV by V square. The integral 1 by V square is minus 1 by V. You have to substitute the limits and you will get this. Okay, so that's the way we have to go about it. And I'm going to problem 3. Again, this is simple problem. E1 and E2 are given doing work of 60 kilojoules. And so 60 kilojoules is positive on the surroundings, the heat transfer during the process. So we have to just take the first law of thermodynamics. So Q12 is equal to E2 minus E1 plus W12. So minus 25, minus 75, plus 60, minus 40 kilojoules. And going to problem 4. In a steam power plant, turbine work, pump work, boiler heat transfer, and condenser heat transfer is given. You have to find out the steam flow. So we have to use that network is equal to net heat transfer is equal to network transfer. Network transfer is Wt minus Wp, and net heat transfer is 3360 minus 2520, but that is in kilojoules per kg, and this is in kilowatts. So if you divide one by the other, you will get the mass flow. Okay, just you will check it. So W net is equal to Wt minus Wp, 1200 minus 6. and W net also equal to m dot into QB minus QC. So m dot is equal to W net by QB minus QC. You will get like this. Next, coming to problem 5. The specific enthalpy of steam at 2 megapascal with a dryness fraction 0.8. These are straightforward problems. Only thing is you have to go to the saturated tables. Okay, it is 2 megapascals with dryness fraction. So dryness fraction is given means it is in saturated tables. So you have to see 2 megapascals. So if you go to the tables, and this is temperature table, but you have to go to pressure table. In the pressure table, you have to see 2 megapascals. So 2 megapascal means 2000 kilopascals. So corresponding to 2000 kilopascals, you have to check that HF and HFG, and X is given. So at 2 megapascal, HF is HF and HFG you can note down from the tables, and then if you substitute, you will get H straight. And the entropy of 2 kg of steam. Yeah, I think I have done mistakes. Right, that's true. So here also entropy of 2 kg of steam 80 degrees centigrade with the dryness fraction 0.85 is given. So you have to find out the entropy in kilojoule per Kelvin, not kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So S is equal to SF plus XSFG you have to do. So SF and SFG at 80 degrees centigrade you have to get from the tables, and you can find out the entropy per kg you will get. So into 2 only you will get this. Yeah, that is a mistake actually. So I will check that. Okay, again, this also in the same way. I think there are many problems are given like that. Okay. So the enthalpy of 2 kg of steam at 2 bar and 500 degrees centigrade in kilojoule per kg is given. So in superheated tables at 2 bar and 500 degrees centigrade, you have to see what is the enthalpy. Into 2, you will get the enthalpy. So that's what here. So 2 into enthalpy at 2 bar and 500 degrees centigrade is given. So 2 into 3130.8, you will get this. And the problem 8, 10 kg of air is heated in a rigid vessel from 20 degrees centigrade to 100 degrees centigrade. The change in enthalpy. Okay, here also the same thing. And so it is just straight dH is equal to mCp dt. So m is 10 kgs, Cp is 1.005 into the change in temperature is 100 minus 20, 80. So you will get like that. So the enthalpy of 5.5 kg of R134A at 20 degrees centigrade with a dryness fraction. Again, the same thing. Only thing is you have to go to R134A tables, and in temperature table at 20 degrees centigrade, you have to see the enthalpy HF and HFG, and dryness fraction is given. You can find out. And so 10th problem, 0.8 kg of air at 1 bar and 25 degrees centigrade in a cylinder is isothermally compressed to 5 bar. The work transfer. It is isothermal heat work done. So this is P1 V1 log P1 by P2. So V1 is RT1 by P1. So you will get that. So in that way you can get this straight formula. And the air at 0.14 meter cube, 1400 kilopascal and 300 degrees centigrade is expanded isentropically to 280 kilopascals. Actually here 3 to 4 problems are given with the same data. So one by one you have to, if you have calculated values, those things you can use. Okay. So here P1 is given, P2 is given, and isentropically. So T2 by T1 is P2 by P1 to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. So you can find out what is the exit temperature. In the same way, in some other with the same data, you are asked to find out what is the mass. You can find out, and then you are asked to find out, I think, change in internal energy, MCP, MCV T2 minus T1, and then you are asked to find out what is the heat transfer, like that. So you can see that this is 11. So here T2 is equal to T1 into P2 by P1 to the power of gamma minus 1 by gamma. And the next problem, you are asked with the same data, mass is asked. So P1 V1 by RT1. So you can use that formula. And you can get the work done by MR into T1 minus T2 by gamma minus 1. Okay. You will get that. And I think separate problem is given about mass. This mass is used in the previous one, 0.1192. Okay. And then the air is compressed from 0.12 meter cube and 1 bar to 0.03 meter cube and 6 bar, the index of compression. So P1 V1 power n is equal to P2 V2 power n. So you can find out what is n from that. So take the logarithms on both sides. So P2 by P1 is equal to V1 by V2 to the power of n. So log P2 by P1 is equal to n log V1 by V2. So n is equal to log P2 by P1 by log V1 by V2. So you are given all P1, P2, V1, V2. You can find out the index. And then the air is compressed from 0.12 meter cube, 90 degrees centigrade and 1 bar to 0.03 meter cube and 6 bar. The change of internal energy in kilojoules. So you have to, because change in internal energy you want, so that is m into delta U. Delta U is CV delta T. So CV into T2 minus T1. So T2 is not there. So first I have to get T2 using gas equation. P1 V1 by T1 equal to P2 V2 by T2. So first to calculate T2, then delta U is CV into T2 minus T1. And here total internal energy, I don't know again which way I asked, kilojoules only. So change in total internal energy. So you have to get the mass and then multiply. So m is equal to P1 V1 by RT1 and delta U is mass into small delta U. Then problem 16, if air is compressed from the same thing, it is asked, we are asked to find out the work transfer. Previously, we have found out the internal energy. So it is asked to find out the work transfer, which is P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by n minus 1. Or you can put R into T1 minus T2 by n minus 1. So the same value you will get. Again, the same thing, you are asked to find out the heat transfer. So in the previous problem, we got the work transfer. In the previous one, we got the change in internal energy. By adding those two, you will get the heat transfer. And a Carnot engine operates between 337 degrees centigrade and 57 degrees centigrade. If it receives a heat of 400 kilojoules, the work done in kilojoules is. So because I am given TL and TH, I can find out what is the efficiency. Efficiency is also equal to W by QH. So QH is given, I have to find out W. So that you can see. So eta is 1 minus TL by TH. Only thing is you have to put them in Kelvin, right? So you will get the efficiency first, and then W is equal to eta QH. So there are many problems in the similar way. A Carnot engine operates between 800 degrees centigrade and 30 degrees centigrade. The heat rejection is asked per kilowatt. So first you can find out the efficiency, and assuming W is equal to 1, you find out QH. So QH minus W gives the QL. So you can see that. So first you find out the efficiency 0.718, which is W by QH. So if W equal to 1, QH is equal to 1 by A efficiency 1 by 0.718, which is 1.393. So QL is QH minus W. So in that way you can find out. And again, a refrigerator operates between minus 23 centigrade and 27 degrees centigrade, and it consumes 1 kilowatt power and gives a refrigerating effect of 6 kilowatts. The refrigerator is possible or impossible. So first we have to find out what is the reversible COP of reversible refrigerator using TL and TH, and then the refrigerating effect is that is QL, right? And W is 1. So QL by W is 6. So COP of actual refrigerator is 6, and ideal refrigerator we have to see whether it is greater or less. So if you see that, so ideal one is TL by TH minus TL, we will get 5, and actual one is 6, which is not possible. So it is impossible. And a refrigerator maintains minus 15 degrees centigrade in an ambient temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. So TL and TH are given, and the heat leakage, that is refrigerating effect. So QL is given, and the minimum power necessary to run in kilowatts is. So QL by W, which is COP, I know. So you can find out what is W. So here COP, I can find out because minus 15 it is there, 273 minus 15, and the difference between TH and TL is 45. So 5.733 is COP, which is QL by W. So W I can find out because QL is given 1.75. So W is 0.305. And a heat pump operates between 22 centigrade and 0 degrees centigrade. So again, you can find out what is COP. So if the power consumed is 5 kilowatts, W is given. To supply a heat of 1 lakh kilojoules per hour. So you can find out per second how much. So in kilowatts I will get. So then find out COP of this and compare again COP of reversible one and COP of this. So and then you can see whether it is impossible or possible. So you can see that. So COP of reversible from TH and TL, it comes to 13.4, and COP of actual one. So this is W is 5, and if you put that QH 1 lakh by 3600, you will get 27.78. So it is 5.55, which is less than COP of reversible refrigerator. So this is possible. And so 50 kg of iron block, whose specific heat is 0.45 kilojoule per kg Kelvin at 227 degrees centigrade, is thrown into a lake which is at 12 degrees centigrade. The entropy change in iron block. So it is just MCP log T2 by T1. So CP is there and M is there, MCP. Log T2 by T1 both are there. So I can find out what is MCP log T2 by T1. So mass is 50 kg, Cp is given as 0.45, and log, both T1 and T2 are there, 285 by 500. So I'll get minus 12.65 because it is getting cooled. So we'll get the entropy change as negative. And again, the extension of the same problem, I think the next one, it is 50 kg of iron block, again thrown into the entropy change in the lake of water. So here, in the lake of water, I have to know because the temperature is constant, which is at 12 degrees centigrade. So I have to find out Q by T. And what is Q? MCP delta T. So M is there, Cp is there, and delta T, that is the amount of heat lost by iron and taken by lake. So that you have to do. So delta S is Q by T. Q is MCP T2 minus T1. So 15 point into 0.45 into 215 by 285. So I will get 16.97. So this is the entropy change in the lake. If you are asked to find out entropy change of the universe, you have to add both of them. You can see that the previous one is minus 12.65 and the present one, that is increase in entropy of the lake, is 16.97. If you sum it up, you can see that delta S is greater than 0. And the problem 25, if steam expands from 3 megapascal 350 degrees centigrade to 75 kilopascals in a steam turbine, the work done by the turbine is. So here you have to find out what is H1 and S1 at steam, the turbine entry. And so S1 equal to S2. So you have to find out what is the dryness fraction at exit. At 75 kilopascal, find out SF and SFG. And using that, I have to find out what is the dryness fraction. Also find HF and HFG at 75 kilopascal and find out what is the enthalpy. That is at the entry exit of the turbine. So H1 minus H2 will give you the work developed by the turbine. So you can see what is the way to go about. So H1 is from the superheated tables, you can find out 3115.3 and S1 you will get, which is equal to S2. Then at the 75 kilopascal, you find out what is SF and SFG, and you will get what is the dryness fraction at the exit. And again, at the same pressure, you can find out what is HF and HFG. You can find out what is H2. And so the change in enthalpy gives the turbine WT is equal to H1 minus H2. So it is a part of the Rankine cycle solution. Only turbine is given. And I think on the pump side also there is a problem. So,
Sir, for 25th problem,
yeah, tell me.
we can directly use compression ratios.
Compression ratio means what is the way?
Reversible adiabatic process.
No. This is not a perfect gas, right? That's the problem. Did you understand? I have to use steam tables only. I cannot use perfect gas relations. That is
Okay.
the for R134A or steam. When steam is working substance, I cannot use that PV power gamma or PV by RT or PV by T equal to constant. Those things I cannot use. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, whenever there is steam as the working substance, you have to always use steam tables only. Okay. Then the same thing, Rankine cycle, I think both are working from 3 megapascal and 75 kilopascal only. But only thing on the left side of the Rankine cycle, work required by the pump. So work required by the pump is Vf into P2 minus P1. So Vf you have to find out at condenser pressure, that is at 75 kilopascal, what is Vf. So into P2 minus P1, that is 3000 minus 75. Okay? So like that I have to use. So this is Vf is 0.001037 into 3000 minus 75. I get the pump work. Then coming to 27. So if a steam power plant works, I think similar problems are there, 3-4 problems. If a steam power plant works in a Carnot cycle between, oh, okay, this is a different one. If a steam power plant works in a Carnot cycle between 30 bar and 20 kilopascal in the saturation dome, the efficiency of the plant is. So what we have to do here, because it is a Carnot cycle, and this is working in a dome, in the dome. So this pressure and this pressure is given. So it is Carnot working means like this. It is working. So this pressure is there. So from this pressure, I have to find out the saturation temperature. And from this pressure, I have to find out the saturation temperature. So TL and TH are known. I can find out what is the, if it is refrigerator, I have to find out based on TL and TH, what is the COP. If it is a steam Rankine cycle, or sorry, steam power plant, I have to use this TL and TH. 1 minus TL by TH gives the efficiency. Like that, I have to do. So here it is straight away. This actually, if you see the tables, so it is asked 30 bar and 20 kilopascal. So if I find out the saturation temperatures, so it will give 70.06 and 233.9. So these are the values I will get from the saturation tables. I have to convert it into Kelvin, and then I will get the efficiency like this. Okay. So 27. So if a steam turbine expands from 20 bar to 20 bar 360 degree centigrade to 0.08 bar, the work done by the turbine is. Again, the same thing. The superheated conditions are given 20 bar and 360 degree centigrade. So you have to find out what is the enthalpy and entropy at 20 bar and 360 degree centigrade. And this S1 is equal to S2 at 0.08 bar. So at 0.08 bar, you find out SF, SFG, HF, and HFG. And using SF and SFG, find out what is the dryness fraction. And using HF and HFG, find out what is the enthalpy. And get the difference of enthalpy, H1 minus H2. So like this. Sorry, this is the next one. Yeah, H1 is 3137, S1 is 6.9563. So X2 is equal to S2 minus SF2 by SFG2. SF2 and SFG2 from the tables you will get this. So you will get the dryness fraction. And using HF and HFG, I can find out what is the enthalpy. So 3137 minus 2168, you will get the change in enthalpy. Okay, that is the way we have to do. And I think that the next problems will be simple. If a Carnot refrigerator R134A again operates between 0.14 megapascal and 0.8 megapascal in the saturation dome, its COP is. So again, you have to find out what is TL and THC at 0.14 and 0.8 megapascal. And so 0.14 and 0.8 megapascal, if you just look at the tables, so after so R134A tables you will get here. So we have to go to pressure tables. So in this pressure table, you have to find out corresponding to the given pressure, you find out what is saturation temperature. So at those two pressures, you will get two saturation temperatures, one TL and one TH. Then only thing is you have to be careful, they are in centigrade, you have to convert it to Kelvin, and you have to do that. So you will get one temperature is 62.91 and another temperature is minus 12.73. So adding 273, you will get TL and TH. So you can find out what is COP of the refrigerator, TL by TH minus TL. Okay, so like that you have to do. Again, the same thing, you are given different, here 0.14 and 0.8 megapascal. Here you are given 0.18 and 1.8 megapascal. The method is same, just to repeat, to have practice, one more problem is given. So you do the same thing. So again, 30. So, okay, 30 is only. In 31, Again, the same thing. You are given the steam turbine inlet temperature and pressure. Again, you get the same thing, right? And expands to 5. Only thing here, instead of given pressure, you are given the temperature. You have to see the saturated tables for the temperature to get HF, HFG, SF, and SFG. And again, you have to find out the dryness fraction at the exit, and then enthalpy at the exit, and H1 minus H2, you have to find out. Only thing here, okay, one more thing I want to show, that here at 1.5 megapascal and 300 degrees centigrade, I think we don't have 300 there. Okay? Just if I 1.5 megapascal and 300 degrees centigrade.
We have 1.6 and 1.44.
Yeah. At 1.5 megapascal, 1.45 is not there. So what I have to do is, I have to take 1.4 value and 1.6 value at 300 degrees centigrade, and I have to take the average. That is interpolate I have to do. Okay. So that's what. If you want to have better value, if you want to have approximate value in the multiple choice question, you can get some approximate value. No problem. So because average of this approximately you can put that you can do. So here that's what I have done at 1.4 and 1.6 megapascal. I have taken the average, and S also I have taken the average in that way. And then you find out the dryness fraction and enthalpy. Again, remaining thing will be simple. So only thing, whenever I don't have exact value in the tables, I have to interpolate. Okay, fluid at 0.5 megapascal, 0.2 meter cube undergoes compression to 0.05 meter cube with an index of compression 1.3, and the change in enthalpy is, okay, here the change in enthalpy, that is like, because if it is isentropic, I will get gamma by gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 minus P2 by, that is Cp into T2 minus T1. So what I do is, so H2 minus H1 is actually Cp into T2 minus T1, that is equal to gamma R by gamma minus 1 into T2 minus T1. So gamma into RT2 minus RT1 by gamma minus 1, or gamma by gamma minus 1 into P2V2 minus P1V. Okay, so here if it is, this is for isentropic. So if it is polytropic, just replace gamma by n. So you will get n by n minus 1 P2V2 minus P. So like this you have to do. So you are not given P2, you can find out P2 from the PV power n equal to constant relation. And once you get P2, you can substitute in the relation n by n minus 1 into P1V1 minus P2V2. Okay, so this is the way you will get that. And 33, steam at 70 meter per second. And okay, your specific volume is given, velocity is given, and the area is given at the inlet. And the exit, you are given the velocity and the specific volume. You are asked to find out the area. So mass flow, we have to use the continuity equation. So m dot is equal to A, because m dot is equal to rho AB, rho AC, or AC by D. So m dot is equal to constant means A1 C1 V1 by V1 is equal to A2 C2 into, so I can find out A2 is equal to A1 C1 V2 by V1 C2. So like this, I can find out. So all the values are given except for A2. So A2 I can find out. So I think these are the problems that are given. Only one is given, which of the following is the right statement. So you know that all reversible processes are quasi-static processes. So this is right and all the others are wrong. Okay, any question? Question 13, huh? Okay, I'll just. Yeah. Expanded isentrically to 80 kilo in mass. Okay, what is the problem? This is M is equal to P1 V1 equal to MRT1. So using that, I have to find out just like this. M is equal to P1 V1 by RT1. This capital. What is the doubt here? Okay, okay. I'll look at it. From given values of P and T, we can get specific volume and hence, yeah. So that is PV equal to RT. You want to get the specific volume and then M. Okay, no, both are the same things only. You can do that. No, all quasi-static are not reversible. That's what I told. There is internal irreversibility and external things. Usually quasi-static processes are internally not reversible. That is, friction will be there. Okay, specific volume. Question number 13. Oh, maybe your because questions are shuffled, right? So your number and this number will be different. Okay, just I will see. So what is that specific volume of steam table using PT in percent? Air we cannot use steam tables. Only when the working fluid is water or steam, we can go for steam tables. Okay. Still, I don't know exactly what is the mid pattern, and D. Jai Krishna sir is doing that. Maybe you can ask what is that Satvik, whether he discussed about it in the B section. Yeah, you can use see same thing. You can use R into T1 minus T2 or P1 minus P2 V2. Only thing you have to be careful about the mass only. Whether you keep capital V1 or small V1 or MRT1 or MRT2 like that. But you can use both, no problem. See, when you see the adiabatic work, so P1 V1 minus P2 V2 by N minus 1 or gamma minus 1, you can use RT1 minus RT2 by gamma minus 1 and N minus 1. You can use any of them, no problem. Because you can use, if you want to get temperature, you use P1 V1 only. Anything? Okay, I want to show one video which is on perpetual motion machines. Actually, I didn't talk about, I think, perpetual motion machine of third kind. Anybody knows about what is the perpetual PPM of third kind? Have you heard about it? Eighth problem, V is constant and we use it as CP. Oh, okay. Vessel is rigid only, but there may be piston which may be moving up and down. Right? Anybody knows about PPM of third kind? So which runs continuously without any friction. It is like your Newton's first law. Anybody in its state or in a state of rest or in motion will continue in its state with if there is no external force, right? So like that, if there is something, if you give a motion, actually it will stop after some time because of either solid friction or due to air friction or whatever it is. But if something goes on continuously, it is not doing any work, but it runs continuously. That is PPM of third kind, right? Continuously if it runs. Okay, suppose if you go to a workshop, if you see a grinding wheel, I don't know whether anybody has seen it. Okay, if you just switch on, it goes such a smooth manner. There will be almost absolutely no friction like thing. Sometimes you will not hear sound also. It goes with very high speed. You can grind the things of metals and other things. And when you switch off, it runs for few minutes or few seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes. Continuously it runs. It takes a lot of time to stop. That is, I reduce the friction very much. If you have no friction at all, it goes on continuously. Okay, just like uh, maybe all the planets in the space, right? They are moving continuously. And if you can make on the earth something which goes on continuously, that is PPM of third kind. So many people has claimed and came with a lot of different designs for PPM of third kind machine. And so we'll see some of them very interesting there. But they are deceiving, okay? They are actually not possible. And if you just could you see it? Just I don't know whether it's still not started. Huh? Yeah, what happened? Only music is coming, nothing is coming else.
Only music is coming, sir.
Only music is coming, I don't know. Okay, just we'll do one thing. I'll go to YouTube. Yeah, you see this? This is nice. That's it.
For the Sharmas, losing yourself is the new normal.
Okay. You can see there are very interesting videos on perpetual motion machines. You will really enjoy it. And another thing I wanted of showing it is like you can always see how the different things work, like Wankel engine, how it works. And suppose if you want to see gear pump, vane pump, those things, how they work, or jet engine, how things work. Okay, you can give how that particular thing and work. So you'll get beautiful animations, and you can really enjoy and understand the things, concepts. Yeah, all are fakes only. Nothing will work out. Anything else? Okay, then we'll be meeting. Oh, okay, story. We'll have story, right? I forgot about it. So today we'll talk about one great lady, and Oprah Winfrey. I don't know whether anybody came across
Sir,
the name. Yes,
sir, why does ideally also there cannot be 100% efficient heat engine?
100% impossible. Carnot efficiency itself is impossible. Carnot efficiencies are very less because you have seen 1 minus TL by TH. If you put only 40%, 50%, only you are getting, right? 100% is impossible. Carnot efficiency itself is impossible. That's why actually later when you are going to study about availability, right, we will define another efficiency which is called as second law efficiency. This whatever we get here, that is network by heat supplied, which is the efficiency, thermal efficiency. So that is actual first law efficiency, we call it as. So we are comparing the output with the total input. But ideally itself, I cannot get that much. Then there is no point in telling your machine is very low efficiency, right? So that is impossible actually. So if you compare your efficiency with the Carnot efficiency, that is your efficiency by Carnot efficiency, if you keep, then you can say this is the okay, this is the positive thing with my engine. Is it clear?
Oh, okay, sir.
So efficiency of a practical engine by efficiency of a Carnot engine, that is called second law efficiency. Okay, so that is better way of comparison. we should not discourage some other fellows so much, telling that your efficiency is so less by first law efficiency. Okay. Okay, it is about the great lady Oprah Winfrey. So if people come across about her name, it's good. Otherwise, she is a very great lady. She was born to an unmarried teenage mother. Her mother, Venita Lee, was a housemaid. Winfrey's biological father is usually noted as Vernon Winfrey, a coal miner turned barber turned city councilman who had been in the armed forces when she was born. After Winfrey's birth, her mother traveled north, and Winfrey spent her first 6 years living in rural poverty with her maternal grandmother. Her grandmother was so poor that Winfrey often wore dresses made of potato sacks, for which other children used to make fun of her. During this time, Winfrey was abused by her family members. Her grandmother whipped her, leaving her with welts over her body. When she was 9 years old, a 19-year-old cousin of her raped her. She was also sexually assaulted by other relatives between the ages of 10 and 14. Winfrey became pregnant at age 14 and considered committing suicide at that time. But ultimately, the baby was born prematurely and died in the hospital. Winfrey knew this was her second chance in life. So you can see what a horrible life she has in her childhood. I think you cannot imagine how she has come up. Working in local media, she was both the youngest news anchor and the first black female news anchor at Nashville. In 1983, she relocated to Chicago to host WLS TV's low-rated half-hour morning talk show, AM Chicago. The first episode aired in January 2, 1984. Within months after Winfrey took over, the show went from last place in the rating to overtaking Donahue as the highest-rated talk show in Chicago. The movie critic Roger Ebert persuaded her to sign a syndication deal with King World. Ebert predicted that she would generate 40 times as much revenue as his television show at the movies. It was then renamed the Oprah Winfrey Show. She is very famous with this particular show name, the Oprah Winfrey Show, and expanded to a full hour. The first episode was broadcast nationwide on September 8, 1986. Winfrey's syndicated show brought in double Donahue's national audience, displacing Donahue as the #1 dynamite talk show in America. Their much publicized contest was the subject of enormous scrutiny. In 1993, Winfrey hosted a rare primetime interview with Michael Jackson, which became the 4th most watched event in American television history, as well as the most watched interview ever, with an audience of 36.5 million. On December 1, 2005, Winfrey appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman to promote the new Broadway musical The Color Purple, of which she was a producer, joining the host for the first time in 16 years. The episode was hailed by some as the television event of the decade, and helped Letterman attract his largest audience in more than 11 years, 13.545 million viewers. Winfrey became a millionaire at the age of 32 when her talk show received national syndication. At the age of 41, Winfrey had a net worth of $340 million and replaced Bill Cosby as the only African woman on the Forbes 400. By 2000, with a net worth of $800 million, Winfrey is believed to have been the richest African American of the 20th century. There has been a course taught at the University of Illinois focusing on Winfrey's business acumen, namely History 298, Oprah Winfrey, the Tycoon. Winfrey was the highest paid television entertainer in the United States in 2006, earning an estimated $260 million during the year, 5 times the sum earned by second-place music executive Simon Cowell. By 2008, her yearly income had increased to $275 million. Forbes' list of the world's billionaires has listed Winfrey as the world's only black billionaire from 2004 to 2006 and as the first black woman billionaire in the world. As of 2014, Winfrey had a net worth in excess of $2.9 billion and had overtaken former eBay CEO Meg Whitman as the richest self-made woman in America. Okay, so that is the achievement. You can see her earlier life and see the later life, and it is so you should not People should not think that how can I become big? I don't have background. I don't have anything. If you see like articles like rags to riches, how people became rich from such a poor condition. It really, they are inspiring stories available. Okay, thank you very much. See you again, and all the best for your mid exams. We will see after the mid exams. Any doubt in between, you can always contact me. You can trouble me at any time, right? So I'll be happy to take the trouble. Thank you. See you.